Okay, it's time for a Callaway iron golf review my way. Welcome back to the McGolf shop, and to get this review started, this is not going to be a let's hit it and let me tell you my feel and all that kind of stuff, which we will talk about very shortly. But this is about how this golf club is going to fit to you, or how it can fit to a particular golfer. Okay, because if you're a beginning golfer and you see a guy hitting a blade, it doesn't do you too much good to think, oh yeah, that's going to be for me, unless you're just one kind of phenom type of golfer. So we're going to get a little more techie, a little bit more what does the fitting part of it do for you, and then we'll show you some performance factors, how I hit them in a comparison standpoint, so you can get an idea of how it might work for you, or get some ideas for a club that you've been looking for. Now, if you like what you see here, how about subscribing down below and giving the video a like, and that way you'll know when more of the videos are coming out. So let's break this down. Breakdown. So first things first, what are we reviewing? Well, we're reviewing the Callaway X Forged. Okay, it seems to be synonymous with the Callaway MB. Well, the MB is the apex, where this is coming out just as the X Forged. All right, so they're a little bit different. So that's the reason, and the only one I got left-handed, so that's the reason why you're seeing that. So the first thing is, when we do these comparisons, when we talk about it, like even the MB, right, the muscleback, all the 7 irons are the same length, they all have the same swing weight. The biggest difference between the two, or all of them for that matter of fact, is the loft and the offset. The MB has a 34-degree loft, where the X Forge has a 33, and then the like say the Epic has a 31, and the Epic has a 30 degree. Okay, so the other part is the offset. The offset is very, very small on the MB. It's like 0.090. All right, so it's less than 1/10 of an inch. So you get the 1/2 inch, you get another 1/2 inch, or half of that 1/2 inch, and you go another half of that 1/2 inch, and you go half of that 1/2 inch, and you're probably really close. All right, that's how small this thing becomes. Now, they all hunt around that particular area. However, it does get fairly significant. All right, the offset here, and we talk about offset, the offset is from the leading edge of this to the leading edge of this in the playing position. And so it's basically this curve right in here. Now, at 0.090, it's basically straight on, right? And this one's not too far out. It's 0.110. So it does have just a little bit, and you'd see it right when you set it down in the playing position, how it comes straight up and out. All right, so now the next part is forged club. Okay, so what is a forged club? All right, the forged club is basically you take a roll of steel and you get it super hot and you mash it like a industrial strength Play-Doh machine until you get your shape, and you beat it once or twice, and then you get your shape in a rough format, and then there's a lot of hand grinding in order to get the the rough edges out and get the polish on it. Some grooves put into it, all the the 7, the logoing, and all the other things that you want in there. That all takes time. All right, and because it takes more time, it costs more. Well, if you look on the website says triple net forging. So what's triple net forging? Well, I had to ask, and thank you Doc Ock at Callaway. He actually sent a response, and triple net forging is none other than it takes 3 shots. All right, according to him, the average when you go to do your mashing, they do normally a 2-time process, and then it goes out to the rest of the factory. Where that goes out and it gets hit 3 times in the process, and it gets closer to the net shape. So triple net forging. All right, so basically it's moving the metal a little closer to what you finally want as an end result. Personally, though I'm not a metallurgist, I'm thinking that probably makes the metal a little tighter too. So, and that's a good thing. So pretty neat. All right, the second part was 20V groove. All right, and they talk about how it helps with flyers and all the good things that, you know, or things that you need help when bad things occur in golf. So what does that mean, 20V? Well, according to Doc Ock again, 20V is nothing more than first is the shape, okay? It's the shape of the groove, so it's a V. All right. The other part is while it's sitting in this shape, it's 20 degrees. These angles here are 20 degrees from this particular setup. Not from like that and not from like that, but from right here, 20 degrees. So that gives a different way that the groove might actually bite. All right, so there's your mystery solved. If you were ever wondering why you get a triple net forge versus a regular forge, and what in the devil is 20V mean? So there it is. Now let's talk about who this fits. Well, one more time. Let's look at this. So let's look at the characteristics of the head. If you look at the sole is, I wouldn't give it, it's what we call a player's sole. It's very thin, and if you look, you can see the shading out here, and what that is that means the leading edge is curved like that so that it's not much of a shovel. However, the mere fact that it is narrow, if you're a divot taker, you're still going to be taking divots, all right? It's just, if you know, you've seen brands where this thing is just deathly sharp, and that's what turns it into a massive shovel. Well, if you're a divot taker, you're still going to take divots. It might be just a tad more friendly. Now, if you're a picker or just cutting the grass, just clipping the grass like I do, then this could be a really neat little setup for you. All right, so on the top line, if you look on the top line, if I can get it in there. There you go, top line. Very thin on the top line. It looks pretty good. Now, is it razor thin? No, but if you're categorizing it, it is in the thin of top lines, okay? Then the next part of it. See this? That is the cavity, all right? It's not like on a big cavity, say like on the steelheads, all right? Or, you know, the big players where the cavity goes all the way around. Right here, you just see it in this part of it, and that's why we would categorize it as a player's cavity, because it's smaller. It's not in that massive forgiving. This is made for a guy that is a good to tremendous ball striker. You got to get it in the middle of the club face, otherwise you're not going to get everything out of this club. All right. Now, cavities, remember, the more that it takes whatever is filled in here, and they moved it around here, and then moved it down into here. And that's what helps get the ball in the air for even when they're a little bit stronger in loft. So, you know, who's this for again? I'd say a guy that shoots in about 84 or below, right? Now, again, when we talk about these conditions when we do a review, this is assuming everything is equal, okay? This isn't that everything that you need in a club, because this is not it, all right? This is the beginning. This is the beginning of it. And it's not to say bad or good on any of it, all right? It's just, what does it work for you, all right? Now, I have run in through, when we do fitting processes, that some people look down on a lot of offset and it just looks strange to them and they can't hit it. And these are guys that are beginning golfers. You give them something with very low offset and all of a sudden they're striping it. That is an outlier. That is not the norm, okay? The norm is the average guy can't bring the club back to square, and offset is a big deal. That's the reason, amongst other design properties, why blades, you don't see that a lot, okay? You see stuff like this. Now, even getting onto the tour, this is where it's at. Very rarely do you see a guy with a whole set of blades, all right? So the player's cavity, because even the pros have a bad day and they need a little forgiveness, and this is what that is, okay? It comes in a 4 and goes down into a pitching wedge. So again, if you're a really good ball striker, it's a perfect setup, and then you get your 2 hybrid and your set of wedges and you're right there. Now, let's say you're an older golfer, okay, I'm still showing you the club. Let's say you're an older golfer, but you're still a good ball striker, but the swing speed's not there. Well, the Project X 6.0 that comes in this is not for you. All right, but that's not to say that this design is not for you, and that's where the fitting comes into it. So something a little lighter, a little more flexible, and now you're still walloping the ball. So again, when you're going to do something like this, go get fit. At least get the right specs into the club, and then that way you're enjoying golf. That's what we do here. My job is to make sure that you like golf more. Okay, so if you're just a good ball striker and you just don't have that swing speed, maybe the recoil or another series of graphite shaft, Acra, pick one. All right, or even lightweight steel. KBS makes a 105 that I've been working with really well. Here as of late, True Temper has the Project X LZ 105, another good one that could help you out. And there's even 80 and 90 grammer steels out there, and just a variety of other graphites that can work for you. Again, being this striker, and that way you can get it up in the air. So we did some testing. Now, when you get demos in, I always have to check them to make sure that they are of the spec. Okay, and I did this with the MBs, and the MB that I got, and I did it with both the lefty and the righty version of that. And honestly, the lie angles are right on, the links were right on, the lofts were a degree strong, and that's manufacturing tolerance. And that's the difference between my gauge or the manufacturer's gauge and within the manufacturing's tolerance. So I don't give that one that's a okay check. Everything was pretty much, the lie angles were good in there. The only thing that was different, and nobody really talks to it, is this. All right, the Project X. Project X is a good little shaft. All right, but you've got to be a fairly stout swinger in order to bring this guy around. The 6.0 is basically a little confusing to determine whether or not that's an extra stiff, a regular, or just a stiff, because they've changed their meanings throughout the lifespan of their product, from when they were just rifle and before True Temper bottom. So in order for this to work, I measured this on my scale, and this thing was really, really, really stiff. So what does that mean? That means that this is a butt stiff type shaft, and you've got to be pretty hard at the transition in order for you to tell the club to do work. All right, so if you're a smooth swinger, again, new shaft. But if you're a young aggressive golfer or a young really hard swinging golfer, then you're going to really like these. Okay, but it's not saying that's a bad design, not saying that's a bad shaft. It just might not be for you. Okay, that's the important part. All right, to finish this off, the grip that comes on this is your standard UTX grip from Lampkin. It's got a neat little hexagonal type pattern that's cut into the grip. Not a bad feel. I mean, it's kind of the competitor to what you would be the Tour Velvet, but again, if that's not what you like, get something that you like. Okay, and then that way that would fit your game. So let's talk about size. On to the next part of it. Okay, we talked about this thing, and everybody's talking about this being a player's and it being a smaller head. All right, so here's an Epic. All right, this is the Epic Pro. All right, and so supposedly this is it's got a fairly big back in the cavity, still kind of thin. Watch this. So you put this on here, and you can't see the club, right? You put it in here. Oh look, you can't see the club. So let's do a little more face-on comparison. So if we were wanting to do that, there it is. So the Epic Pro is just a hair wider, but and maybe just a tad longer. If you look up there by the hosel area, just a tad longer. So maybe just a little bit longer in the face, and maybe just a hair taller. If I was to put it together again, so you can There's the added. All right, so it's less than a groove line, smaller. So I don't know if that's going to make much of a difference to you at address, but I just wanted to show you there it is. All right, so we did some testing. I'm going to show you a little video of my swing. I know you're impressed. Really? I don't think so. I hope I'm hitting the ball well. All right, so we did some comparisons, okay? I did a comparison just between the Epic with an LZ105 because that's more me, and I did a comparison between the X Forge with the Project X in it. All right, all things being equal. Now, when I measured them and I didn't adjust them, they're only 1 degree beyond each other, so should be very close, all right? It should be very close. All right, and you're going to see the reason why getting a fit is very important. Okay, so the offsets are very close, the lies are right the same, the weights are the same, swing weights are the same, everything's the same except for basically the loft and the shaft that's in it. So what did I do? Well, as a whole, on average, I carried the X Forged 159 to a total of 169 in distance. So right around the 170 mark. That's, you know, where it ends up, that's pretty healthy. However, I was 165 and 174 with the Epic. Okay, that's basically 5 yards, half a club for that matter. All right. Now the standard Epic, I was actually 170, 183, which is huge. All right, carrying a 7-iron that far, that means, you know, my 9's a 150 club, or it could even be a pitching wedge when I'm swinging well. And this was in about 45 degree weather. All right, however, my low end on the X Forge was 152 and 160, where my long was 166, 176. So I certainly have the ability to catch up with the other clubs, but I got to absolutely stripe it. Now on the short end on the Epic Pro, 156 and 164, so an average of 4 yards longer on the short end. And then I was 176 and 202. 202, right? I basically mashed this golf ball, and that's one of those 1 in a million golf shots. So on the average, I was 10 yards longer on the carry, and it rolled out, you know, another 30 yards. That means I had very, very little spin on it. But on the average of that, you know, there's a couple I actually hit out 190-ish. That's total. That means it's rolling that far. I'm really more worried about the carry. All right, so how did I hit it? Well, how did I hit it offline? Well, this is an important part. You know, I'm all about the quality of a hit. And the quality of the hit was, I was on the average 1.6 degrees to the right. To me, that's to the inside because I'm a lefty. And on the standard, or on the Epic Pro, I was right down the middle at 0-0. Now, that's an average, okay? I had some on the left-hand side of the center line, I had some on the right-hand side of the center line, and they just averaged them out. Just so happens I was a little heavy at going to the right, where apparently on this Epic Pro, same. Now, here's the big deal. The swing speed with the Forged, the X Forged club with the Project X was 84 mile an hour. The swing speed with the Epic and the 105 was 88 mile an hour. All right, get the correlation? All right, so 4 mile an hour is virtually about, on the average, right around 8 yards. So just by changing a shaft, let's assuming everything is equal, changing the shaft, I could actually have hit this club maybe just a tad further. Again, assuming everything equal again, it just shows that the lighter weight shaft for me is where I need to go. So could I play these? Yeah. Would my score go down? That's tough to say. That'd be on the ragged edge because my average score is, you know, I go from 84 to 88. So the Epic's a little bit more forgiving, so if I had a choice, I would probably go with the Epic. Cost for comparison, I might try that one out. So again, about the same offset, but the shaft is what really made the difference. Maybe when I get it, if it comes in a fitting cart, I'll try that out, and then we'll make our selection. So, quick review. Again, Callaway X forged, cavity back, player's cavity, slight offset, nice radius sole. There's no sharp edges on any of this stuff. Okay, really easy to look at address on the side, in the bag. You can get you know, a plethora of the clubs that you need, right down to the pitching wedge. I would have liked to have seen an A wedge in this, but again, this is the player set, so most likely that person would like a regular wedge in the bag. Personally, I would like to see another one of these. Okay, the choice of shaft that they put in here for the stronger player, okay, it marries up. However, if you're not that stronger player or your swing speed's not that high, then consider something different, and you can still have an incredibly high quality set of shafts. And then make sure you get fit for your grip, whether it be the Lamkin UTX or whatever grip that you decide to get on. So hopefully you saw the comparisons. Hopefully you know the reason why, what works for certain people, and hopefully you like what you saw. Now, if there is something else that you wanted to see in these reviews, please leave it in the show notes, and that way I can include it into the next one, because we're always looking to improve on these. So hopefully you saw this. Hope we can go try one, and let's see your scores go low.